Hello all. In this video, we are going to see history of English studies. This video will be totally different from the previous videos because in the previous videos we have seen the criticism theories. We have seen the theoretical part, but this video will be full of something historical, that is when and how English was offered as a subject to study, and which college or which university offered English as a subject to study in the beginning, like that and all we will discuss in this video. So we will enter into the video. Only in 1828 English offered as a subject of study. So now we are considering English as an international language, but when English was originated, it too had faced a lot of difficulties in order to spread across various countries. So, in the beginning, people spoke English as a language, but it is not offered as a subject of study. So, only in 1828, that is till the 19th century, it was not offered as a subject in order to study. If it hadn't happened still now, then we will not be the student of literature. And then not offered at Oxford or Cambridge, but at newly started University College in London, founded in 1826. So we all know the colleges Oxford and Cambridge, which is very famous. So it is not Oxford. English is not offered as a subject of study in Oxford and Cambridge, but it is offered as a subject of study in the newly started, which was newly started at that time. That is, University College in London was founded in 1826, but that university offered English as a subject. Later, the English is offered as a subject, but it is not offered as the English literature, but it was offered as English language. And then only in 1831 English literature was offered as the subject of study in universities and colleges. Catholic, Jew, or a non-believer not admitted. So there were Roman Catholics, Protestants, and all. So we have studied in a social history of England. So in those colleges, Catholic, Jews, and non-believers are not admitted to study English as a subject of study. So they were not allowed. Oxford or Cambridge did not allow English till the end of the 19th century. Even though it is a famous university for English literature now, but it didn't allow English to offer as a subject till the end of the 19th century. Literature meant only the study of the great books in classical language and not mere chatter about Shelley. So, what Oxford and Cambridge University thought regarding literature means, they thought that literature means the study of the great books in the classical language. That is, we will read the books in a grander language, but we will there is nothing other than that. We will not have a discussion regarding Shelley or any other poets. This is what they thought regarding literature in the beginning, but later there might be a change in their point of view. There might be, but we are not sure regarding that. Oxford allowed English in 1894 and Cambridge in 1911. So only in 1894, that is near the end of the 19th century, Oxford allowed English. But Cambridge allowed English in 20th century. Only in 1911 it allowed English as a subject of study. But here is the point that we should be proud of as an Indian citizen. That is, universities were started in India from 1857. That is in the 19th century. And then Macaulay, we all know that Lord Macaulay. So Macaulay's minute of 1835 laid the foundation for English education. So only his minute of 1835 laid the foundation for English education. So before English offered as a subject of study in Oxford and Cambridge, it was introduced in India. English was offered as a subject of study in India before it was offered as a subject of study in Oxford and Cambridge. So on hearing this point, we should be proud of. Then the critical tradition. So we these things and all we have already studied in literary criticism. If you remember that, it will be like a recalling, so it will be like a recap. Begin from Plato, Aristotle, Horace and Longinus. So our criticism part will begin from Plato and all. So Plato, Aristotle, Horace and Longinus, they were the prominent writers. They were the prominent critics. We will see each by one by one in a short descriptive form. Plato disapproved of poets and poetry. We all know that he disapproved of poets and poetry. He said that poetry was just only an imitation of an imitation. That is twice removed from reality. We have seen that. So imitation of an imitation. Already a particular thing is imitated, and then poet is imitating the thing which is already imitated. This is what poetry is according to Plato. Good poetry could not be written without inspiration. What Plato thinks is an inspiration is must in order to write a poetry. So this is what he thinks. Without inspiration, we can't write a good poetry. If a poetry is written without inspiration, then it will not be considered as a good poetry. And then Plato's argument in The Republic, society must regulate what children should read. So in The Republic, he said that the society must regulate what children should read. Then only the future generation will lead in a good way. If they read any unwanted or which is not good for the children or which is not good for the society, then they will get polluted. So the society should decide what children should read. We have an example that we have 18 plus and under 18. So we have this category. So some things we should not watch or we should not hear before we are attaining the age of 18. This thing was already said by Plato. And then Iliad and Odyssey. That the famous work Iliad and Odyssey was about the exploits of gods when the world was created and civilization was fashioned. So it will be like a historical fact. So when the world was created and how it was created and how civilization was modernized everything and every people. So this will be like that, and there will be some actions or some deeds done by gods. These things and all will be discussed in Iliad and Odyssey. Aristotle argued that the poet who takes the world as it exists for his subject matter and represent it in his works as a microcosm. So we all know that he is a great disciple of Plato. So what he tells is, if a poet who takes the world as it exists for his subject matter, that is what the poet will think. The world is existing for his subject matter alone. So if he thinks like that, then he will represent the world in his work as a microcosm. Microcosm means a small thing which is an example for a larger thing. Microcosm means a small thing which stands as an example for a large thing. Okay, that is, if we read a particular work of an author, then the thing will be small, the matter will be a small one, but it explores or it gives a lot of information, and it gives information about the larger world. So this is what he is saying, Aristotle is saying. And then Horace Ars Poetica. Ars Poetica is his famous work. So in that work, he had laid down some do's and don'ts. It is like prescriptive. That is prescriptive in the sense, he had followed like what he should. That is like we should do this and we should not do this. That is what prescriptive is in Horace Ars Poetica. And then Longinus. On hearing the name Longinus, what we will remember? only sublimity. So Longinus in his work on the sublime reveals a remarkable sensitivity to the language of poetry. There will be some language. So if you are writing a poetry, the language will be different. If you are writing a drama, the language will be different. So the language will differ according to the genre which we are writing. So here in his work he is making a sensitivity of the language, how a language is sensitive. So if we use a different for if we write a different word instead of another word, if you write a word instead of another word, then it will there might be a chance that it will lead to sensitivity. So the language is also sensitive, so he expresses the sensitivity of the language in on the sublime. So on the sublime. So this is what in critical tradition. After this the critical tradition, there arises two questions. So the two questions will be discussed in our next video. So if you are willing to know what the two questions are, wait for the next video and know the two questions and also get the answer for those two questions. Thank you for watching.